Hey, marvelous mom, magnificent mom to be, and all of my mom mentor friends. I am so glad that you have joined me here today on this special version of Mom to Mom Mentoring. Today, we are going to open the mailbox and answer your burning questions. We're going to sit in a sacred space together and wrestle with some of the challenges that you face as a busy Christian mom, just trying to navigate all the things, all the places, all the spaces of life and care for your family with excellence. Today is a new day, and His mercy is new every morning. Now, as your mom mentor, as your friend, my mission is to just come alongside of you. You're a busy Christian mom and you're trying to do all the things with excellence. And if you're anything like me, you feel like you can't even do one thing with excellence. Maybe that one thing is just, I want to have a meaningful connection with my kids. Maybe that one thing that you can't seem to get hold of is keeping the house clean. Or perhaps that one thing in this season of life is just wanting to find the right mentor to help strengthen and encourage your arms. You know, Mom, Moses needed help to lift up his arms. And I think we all have a bit of Moses in us as women leaders. We're learning to lead ourselves. We're leading our families. We're leading in the marketplace or community. And we need our errands and we need our hers to come alongside of us and lift up our arms at different seasons in life. Today, I want to offer you that gift of just lifting up your arms, of sitting with you as the battle is raging around your feet. Today, I'm in the trenches with you, having raised four very different individuals, launching them into adulthood, watching them deal with their own failures and successes, sometimes relaunching them. Oh, then launching myself into my own new seasons of life. It's a lot. Perhaps you feel like you might be on the verge of tears all the time, or you're just waiting for your next mental breakdown. Maybe you're wavering between mom rage and the shame of that mom rage. And I get it. I want to support you as a mom friend, as a mentor, as your gratitude guide. I want to celebrate your progress, your life victories, and I want to sit with you in the sorrow and sadness of loss. I'm Misty Hughes. I'm here to go on the journey of momhood with you. Today's episode is going to be a little bit different, but my desire as your mom mentor is just the same. I want you to walk away with just one thing that's of value to you. As still in the process of reformation overachiever, I will always walk away from sermons, teachings, conferences with my list of 10 things I want to change. A week later, I'm in the crash and burn pile. I feel like a failure. You know, that beautiful image of who you are supposed to be that is held up as this pillar in Proverbs 31 is a display of all the seasons of womanhood. You don't wake up tomorrow being that woman. It's a process and we are in progress. That's why it's so important that I just keep coming back to keeping it simple, keeping it that one thing. Hey, Mom, before we get started, I would love to invite you to share your burning mom questions with me. I'm going to put the link in the show notes where you can go and leave a recording of your questions. Or if that's not comfortable for you, just hop on over to our Facebook group, which will also be linked in the show notes. Leave me a message. I keep a list of these mom questions, and once a month, we're going to open the mailbox together. Today, we're going to talk about 2 or 3 different questions that you've written in or called in. Now, if you're ready, let's dive in. Okay. This first question is what Mom to Mom mentoring is all about. And it comes to us from a listener that I connected with through a Christian mom entrepreneur Facebook group. Where did you find the people to speak life into your version of success and your version of work-life balance so you didn't get distracted by what others were doing, advising, pushing? In essence, this mom is looking for her own mom mentor. As I listen to this question, it causes me to be curious. If I were sitting with you, my beautiful mom friend, one of the first questions I would ask you is, well, what is your version of work-life balance? What is important to you in this current season of life? This question made me think about my beautiful, beautiful mom mentor, Kathleen Kennedy. I met Kathleen years ago at a conference. Kathleen was up on stage. She wasn't speaking. She was worshiping Jesus. And you know what? Her face radiated. I wanted that radiance. I wanted a face that was never covered with shame. I wanted an experience with God that would cause my face to glow. I needed Jesus. I was so desperate. This was in the season when my husband was choosing to make his way out of the family, and I was lost. I was so full of shame in those days. I was filled with shame from my past. I was filled with shame from my present. And I had this fear that shame would become my future. Beloved mama, I was not bold. I was just desperate. There was Kathleen Kennedy worshiping Jesus. Kathleen was the founder and leader of a ministry called Wings of Worship. And at a lot of conferences I attended in that season of life, there would be displays of flags or processionals. That was a part of the worship experience. We have worship music in churches, but I am such a visual person that the visual element of somebody worshiping God with color and flags and everything just, whew, it lifted me higher. I wasn't one of those that went up, hey, can you be my mentor? I didn't even know what question to ask her. I just kind of hung around looking at all her beautiful silk flags and her other things. And she said to me, oh, see that little flag case we carry around? We ordered it from this company and we got it engraved. When we got it, we said, they engraved it wrong. That's not WOW for Wings of Worship. That's MOM. And then we laughed and we realized, oh, MOM is WOW upside down. And we're just moms anyway. And that little story that Kathleen shared with me connected my heart to hers because I thought, I'm just a mom that wants to worship Jesus, and I don't even know where to start, but I know I need him. That was the beginning of what is still a friendship. It was not possible for me to have an ongoing relationship where we got together. She lived about 3 or 4 hours away. Plus, she was in full-time ministry and she had 7 children. They were much older. I wanted to stay connected with her and I wanted to build a friendship because I saw in her the kind of life I wanted to live. And it was through simple stories that she shared, like WOW and MOM, that the Lord would capture my heart and solidify identity in me. I reached out to Kathleen and I said, how can I help? I'm raising 4 kids between the ages of 2 and 13. I'm doing it by myself. I don't have time. I don't have money. How can I help? And you know what? Kathleen invited me to pray for her. She needed prayer covering because she was out there on the front lines. I said, yes, I can commit to praying for you. Now, I didn't know a lot about prayer, but I could say yes to committing to being faithful in the place of prayer. And through that friendship, through that mentorship, I learned how to pray. I learned how to exalt the name of God. I learned how to worship. I learned what the true essence of worship is, and I learned the power of worship. I had looked for years in my local church for a mom mentor. I was a part of prayer groups in my church. I was a part of young moms discipleship groups in my church. And I looked at the older women in my church. And I'm sorry to say that in the churches that I was in during those first years of parenting, I didn't see a lot of women who I wanted to emulate. But it was that place of desperation that God suddenly put a woman whose face was radiant in front of me. And I said, that's who I want to be, Jesus. And so as we wrap this question up, I just want to give you some things about where to find these people to speak life into our version of success and our version of balance. First, know yourself. What is that version of success? What is that version of balance? Beloved, I had grown up in a single mom family. We had struggled our whole lives. I just wanted to be a mom. That's all I longed for. And I wanted to love Jesus wholeheartedly. Those are the two things I knew. I didn't have a 5-year plan, but those were the things I knew about myself. So know yourself. And then let that place of desperation be your guide. Keep an open mind. And then, my lovely mom friend, I want to ask you this question. How can you serve? How can you come alongside of this woman that God may be putting in front of you? Beloved, hear me. I know you're busy, and I'm not asking you to go and mow her lawn or anything like that. But my question is, are you looking just to receive, or is there a way that you can build into a friendship? It is a reciprocal relationship. So maybe as you're opening your eyes, you're opening your heart, you're allowing the desperation to rise to the surface, and God brings somebody into your life and you see them, maybe asking the question, what could I do for you, will be a good starting point. Our next question on today's Mom to Mom mentoring comes from my good friend, Monica.
Hey, Misty, I have a question for you. I am, there's a baby in the background if you hear that. I am just curious, how do I balance setting aside time for my kids when I have worked all day, I am exhausted, I have dinner to make, and all of the nighttime routine? Is there a way that you can suggest of how to be intentional with my kids and still build that relationship even though mama is tired?
Oh my. Can you hear the weariness from this tired mama? I bet there's many of you out there saying, oh my goodness, that sounds like me. That sounds like what I feel like. That sounds like my life. First, I want to say, well done, mom. You're showing up. You're asking the questions. The desire is real, and that is a win. It is challenging to have any kind of conversation and to stay connected with what your children are telling you when you are exhausted. I personally have never been good at building connection or relationship when I'm tired. So, what do we do about that? Because we want to show up, we want to be present with our children and with our spouses. And it's life, correct? Well, as a coach right now, I think of questions. My first question is, what do you need? You don't want to be exhausted. You need sleep. Okay. Next question, where are the spaces in life for sleep? Now, you're like, there are none. Well, it reminds me when I had a older woman praying for me at church one day, and she just looked at me and she said, Misty, I see pockets of time. Now, she didn't know anything about me. She didn't know that I was a single mom. She didn't know I was raising 4 kids on my own. She didn't know I was working full time and trying to manage all the things of life. She knew none of that, but she just said what she saw or what she heard. I see pockets of time. So, you know what I did? I thought about that and I prayed about that. And I decided to look for those pockets of time. I would schedule a personal retreat. I had these great plans when I would get away of my time with Jesus. Because if you remember, I was desperate in those days. So I had these grandiose plans of Jesus time on these personal retreats. And they had to be at least 2 nights. They had to be away from home. If they were in my home, the laundry or the dishes or something would be screaming at me, even if the kids weren't there. So I would get away, but I would get so mad at myself because all I would do that first 24 hours was, you guessed it, sleep. That's right. I just slept. I said, Jesus, I'm trying not to sleep. I want to be with you. I want to be in your word. I want you to speak to me. And I remember that quiet voice of my beloved Father whispering to me, honey, you're tired. Just sleep. It's like our little ones when they are so tired and they're so wound up because they're so exhausted that they almost can't get to sleep. Well, Mama, oftentimes when we pull away, we are so wound up, and it's going to take us at least 24 hours to get relaxed enough to even begin to sleep. So I really want to encourage you, my tired mama, to find a place, a way to go and rest, to go and sleep. I love this about our Father. Somehow he redeems the time, and somehow he makes the most of moments. I'm exhausted and I'm trying to stay connected to my children from that place of exhaustion. In a moment, if I come in refreshed and rejuvenated because I've actually slept, then I have an hour of connection time I've made up for months and months of trying to labor and push through. I think we just expect too much of ourselves. I would like to challenge you to do this one thing. Begin to purposefully look for pockets of time. Begin to think about where those pockets might be or who might help with the kids. Now, here's a mantra you're going to hear me say over and over again on this podcast. What doesn't get scheduled doesn't get done. So, in order to sleep, guess what? You might have to schedule it in, at least for the next few years while you're raising littles, and then begin to pray. When are those pockets of time to find time to sleep? Marvelous mom, thank you for tuning in today and joining me on this journey of momhood. Remember, in the midst of exhaustion and busyness, taking care of yourself is just as important as taking care of your family. So, make sure to find those pockets of time for yourself, rest, and recharge so that you can reconnect. Until next time, stay strong, stay connected, and most importantly, stay true to yourself as a mom, a mentor, and a friend. Bye for now. I look forward to connecting with you in the next episode of Mom to Mom Mentoring.